just jotted down stuff that came into my head, so there's no particular pattern to them, but I'm sure you're going to find one or two of these useful. So when is it best to book early? Well, it's best to book early if you want to stay at a particular hotel or resort, because booking early gives you more choice. It's best to book early when you're travelling over a holiday period such as Christmas. Booking last-minute flights to Australia over Christmas can be more than double the prices available if you book in February. Some airlines allow you to book the seat as soon as you've booked your ticket, so if you want that legroom exit seat, the best chance to get it is to book as soon as the flights become available. I don't book early, I book last minute because of the nature of the job, so that means pretty much on Virgin I'm never going to get an exit seat again. So when is it best to book late? Well, villa owners would prefer to take a cut price booking than to have the place empty. So if you book last minute, that's your chance to haggle. And if you're flexible about where you want to go and what you want to see and do, then when it comes to last minute holidays you could pick up a bargain as long as you don't care where you're going. You may or may not know this, but you don't always have to book in a hotel to be able to use its facilities. Now, I'm not saying you can just walk in off the street and dive into the pool. You will have to pay for something. So, see what you can experience if you have lunch at the hotel, for example. This sort of stuff isn't often published or made readily available, so you don't know until you ask. But if you see a pool you like, you're not staying at the hotel, see how much it costs to have lunch, and then see if you can have a dip. I've done this in the Cayman Islands, so I know it can be done. You just need to ask in advance, and if you ask, what's the worst that can happen? Remove the risk when booking a mystery hotel. I'm sure you've seen all these websites offering hotels at reduced rates, but they don't tell you what the name of the hotel until you've booked. It's slightly harder now because the companies are a bit more cuter and a bit more aware, but it is still possible with some companies to find out the exact location and the name of the hotel they're offering at a mystery rate. It is a little bit of a risk doing this because once you find out the hotel, you check it on TripAdvisor, there's a 100% cancellation fee, so you book, you got to go. So if you can turn the tables in your favour, well, that's always going to help you. So how do you do it to make sure you don't end up with a minger? Well, the slow way is to make a note of the first 2 or 3 descriptive lines of the mystery hotel on the website, and then go through all the named hotels for that location to see if you can get a match for the description. The quick way is to copy these and paste them into the Google search bar and then click search. Doing this, when I put these notes together, I discovered that the 4-star mystery non-refundable hotel, London, brackets, King's Cross / Bloomsbury, £39.50 per person per night on Super Break, is actually the Holiday Inn King's Cross and Bloomsbury, and if you book the hotel when you know what the name is, it's £67.75 per person per night, so there's a massive saving by going for the mystery version. I've used this when it comes to booking airport parking. It's a great way to get cheap parking for your car when you go away. And my final tip for this little part is getting a free late checkout. Hotels are now charging for late checkouts. 11 or 12 o'clock is too early if you've got an evening or night flight. And as long as nobody's going to be checking into your room on time, which is 2 o'clock-ish, and the housekeeping aren't planning to clean your room that close to your kick-out time and the room being available, well, just ask. You might get it for nothing. If you're on a package holiday, the chances are that another package holiday person is going to be having your room once you've been. So they won't be here until after you've gone because you're getting their flight. So there's going to be plenty of time for the housekeeping to give the room a once over once you've gone and before your replacement comes. So if you want a late checkout, you don't want to pay, just ask. And that concludes this little bit on travel tips. Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. So, New Year's Eve, the bells go, it's now New Year's Day. Some people may have actually proposed to their partner and they're going to get married this year. And what's the most important thing about a wedding? The honeymoon. What do people spend less time concentrating on? The honeymoon. Spend more time about a few hours for the wedding instead of the 2 weeks or the 10 days or whatever they're going to spend away. So a honeymoon is extremely important to plan. You should put far more effort into your honeymoon than you do your wedding day. But that's just my opinion. I'm slightly biased, and I did have a really bad honeymoon, which I planned way before I was in the travel trade, and I didn't know any better. But at least we can say that it was memorable. But anyway, those who are getting married this year and having a honeymoon, here's a few honeymoon tips to help you make sure you make the best of the moment that happens after your wedding day. On the last show, I talked through a countdown planner for a honeymoon. It's very useful, but it didn't cover how to find the honeymoon in the first place. I just glossed over this bit. So, to follow on from that, and you can find the countdown planner at www.johnguinn.me, here's how to get started when planning a honeymoon. The important thing to remember that it isn't just another holiday. This will be the easiest trip for you to recall as a couple when you look back at your life together. So, step 1, decide what you want to do or what you want from your honeymoon. This should be discussed as a couple. Tradition has it that the groom should sort this out, but let's be honest, the groom is probably an idiot. He may luck out and surprises may work out fine, but planning together will ensure that both of you get the trip that you need. Make a short list of what your must-do experiences are, such as safaris, bungee jumping, balloon flights, etc. Then make a short list of 3 or 4 dream destinations. Then decide how you want to sleep. Do you want to sleep in a tent, an RV, a hostel, or a 5-star exclusive hotel? At this stage, compromise is very important. Remember, this is your honeymoon and is meant to continue the feelings from your big day and to mark married life together. So don't get too complicated. Keep it simple, well, at least for the first few days anyway. You can try to save the complex multi-centre around the world trip for another time. You don't want any mishaps to ruin your honeymoon, and if you have too many elements, that could happen. Travel companies have helpfully come up with alternative names for a honeymoon, which may help you think about what you want. So this is the list of the names that I could find. Family moon. This is a honeymoon where the kids come too. Mini moon. A short break honeymoon, ideal for the time or cash poor. This trip is also useful if your dream activity for your honeymoon is at another time of year to your wedding. Strategic moon. It's a honeymoon for those who need to wait but don't want to go on a mini moon. Maxi moon. A long honeymoon, perhaps maybe that round the world trip or a last chance gap year before having kids. Meaningful moon, or honey tearing, is a honeymoon where you volunteer. From a day helping out at a school to weeks on a project. I volunteered at an animal sanctuary in Namibia a few years back. It wasn't for a honeymoon, but it's definitely a way to remember what you were doing. Adventure moon. A survey by Mintel found that in 2010, those who just wanted to chillax on a honeymoon had fallen to just 28% of honeymooners. The adventure moon is completely at the other end of the scale of honeymoons. And finally, buddy moon, which is common if you're getting married abroad. The honeymoon turns into an extended wedding party. So, step 2 is work out your budget. Set your price range before you start researching. Honeymoons can come with a premium price, but it doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it. And if you go too low, there's a possibility that your honeymoon would be just like all your other trips. Decide if you want self-catering, all-inclusive, etc. Then put a simple spreadsheet together listing your wants and how much you expect them to cost. Don't forget to add costs such as jabs, other medication, new clothes and visas. If you're not all-inclusive, don't forget to add the costs of free meals for each day. I had clients who wanted to max out their budget on a luxury bed and breakfast in the Maldives, but I worked out that they would spend around about $1,200 just on drinking Coca-Cola over their stay, which was quite a sizable chunk of their budget, so you need to allow for that too. Do tell every supplier involved in your honeymoon that it is your honeymoon, as there may be special offers for newlyweds. You will need a copy of your wedding certificate when using these to prove that you're entitled to the upgrades. But it is unlikely that you'll ever get an upgrade on the flight. Step 3. Travel dates. Most UK weddings, based on the invites I get anyway, seem to be in the summer, which is unfortunate as this time of year normally means bad weather for those far off trips. For example, June to November is hurricane season in the Caribbean. Also, your dream activity, as I already mentioned, may be date dependent. So do you plan the wedding around your honeymoon, or take a strategic moon or a mini moon? The last step is step 4, booking. If you're after the best honeymoon upgrades and rooms, you should book as far in advance as possible. Leaving it until the last minute to search out a bargain can mean missing out on the hotel, let alone getting the honeymoon suite. Even if you want to get a last minute deal, as it's your honeymoon, if you're travelling over a peak period, you really should book well in advance, as well as in advance as you can, just to make sure you get what you want. You really don't want anything to go wrong on this trip, so in my personal opinion, an atoll bonded package holiday is the safest way to book. But if you do want to book independently, then you do need to have an in-case emergency plan. And those are 4 simple steps to help you get on the way to planning your honeymoon. You can keep up to date with travel news and leave me a message at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Well, we're at the end of the show now. This is something else I have to try and make sure I don't say too often in 2016. My big thing for 2016 personally is to actually go away on holiday. I didn't in 2015, first time for years, but then we did buy a new home. So that sort of makes up for it. As I said, when I moved, that the first few weeks in my new house was like being on a holiday, because I was waking up with a different view out the window and had a different environment to walk around. But now I've been here 3 months now, and not only are the utility bills starting to come in, it's no longer a novelty, it's my home. But 2016, I'm actually going to go away, planning on the Bahamas to swim with pigs, but we have to see how it goes. What's your dream destination? Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show, let me know. And of course, on that page, there will be a link to the travel trends report from ABTA. And to be honest, none of them take my fancy, but apparently they're the top 12 destinations for this year. Well, I hope you have a great 2016. You continue to listen to my ramblings on my travel show. And I hope to see you next time on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com, where each week I'm checking it out before you check in.